This is not my beautiful house. And you may tell yourself, this is not my beautiful wife.
And you may be telling yourself, what have I come across here on the Watchdog Network? Well, it is Butch Maxwell's Complete Waste of Airtime. If you're not familiar, we're here every Wednesday, most every Wednesday anyway, when I remember to show up.
Now, you did a good job last week. That was fine.
It did work out
Things
well.
happen.
It's true. But I had it well in mind here. Have a good plan today. Don't have a guest, so it's all up to Lola and me and you. If you would like to call in, you're always welcome to call in at 304-214-1600. That could help the conversation move along a little bit. You can chime in. Remember, you don't have to agree with me. In fact, it might be more interesting if you disagree with me.
Just respectful.
Yes, we'll be respectful. I will be respectful of you, and you do the same, and that way we'll just keep the conversation going. It's warm outside. If you haven't noticed, it's in the 80s, and which is kind of weird for past mid-September. You realize that next week, October begins, Lola, next week. It's kind of amazing. And yet the temperatures are still going to be pretty high. A good chance of rain during the 4 o'clock hour. So, we're going to be done. We're going to be wrapping up here around 3. But if you're outside, you might want to wind up what you're doing if you want to.
I was just trying to renew my tan.
Oh yeah, you were. Yeah.
Well, I worked so hard for so long to get this nice golden brown.
Yes.
And then within days.
Yeah.
Within days, you look.
There's just no sun here. It's been tough. And of course, and you're indoors during the weekdays and afternoons. So, that when we do occasionally get some sun, that's probably when it comes out.
Yes, yes. It generally does in the afternoon.
Yeah. It just peeped through just a few moments ago. I'll tell you, on the top of my agenda, just a little personal thing. I just came from selling a house, my family home.
Oh, your dad's
just sold. So just minutes before I came into the studio, I was at an attorney's office signing. This is my family home. It was in the Edgewood section of Wheeling, and we owned the house for the past 56 years.
Wow.
Needless to say, I grew up there. My brothers and sisters grew up there. My kids, in fact, to them, that was Grandma's house. And and their cousins. It has a deep meaning to a lot of us. And I've spent the last year and a half preparing the house for sale, having my dad having passed away early in 2020, and the house was just too big for any of us to take over. Two of my siblings are married and have children. But they've long ago bought their own houses, and they're not in the Wheeling area anymore. And I have 2 brothers who are not married and don't have any children. But they, it was too much house for them. Yeah. And so, we just, had to sort of suck it up and say, what, we're going to fix this place up and sell it. And then, of course, parents, as people get older, my parents, they took very good care of that house. But as they got older, less so. And so the last updates were in about 1990 or something, and there was carpet all over these hardwood floors. We pulled up all the carpeting, got the hardwood floors refinished, and I completely repainted everything. We fixed up some of the electrical service, got radon and remission, exterior work, made sure everything was painted, took down hedges, stuff like that. Just basically tried to spruce the place up. But it's been a year and a half process, and honestly, through a lot of this process, I was like, oh, geez, do I really have to go down to that house again and paint or clean or, throw stuff out? Throwing stuff out was enormous. Okay, yeah, we got that. So anyway, I am experiencing, just on a personal level, I'm just experiencing a range of feelings today, both relief that it's over, but a little bit of sadness because, it's the end of an era. So I don't know. We got a caller, though.
Yes, we do.
Who do we have? It's Tom, my old buddy Tom. Hey, Tom, how you doing?
Not bad. I kind of went through that. We sold my mom's house years ago, and I grew up there and everything in Brookside. And
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, she moved to Columbus, and then it took a while to sell it and all that, you know. But where was this house at?
This was in the Edgewood section of Wheeling, so Woodsdale, and
Oh.
actually, you know, close to right off of Edgewood Street, and so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we, you know, it's been a long legacy. I mean, the house was it was a fine house. It was nothing extraordinary or anything. It was fairly typical of those Woodsdale homes, over 100 years
Large.
old. Yeah, large, hardwood floors, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, separate rooms. You know, these days everybody likes the open floor plan, but this has actual separate dining room, living room, kitchen, and stuff like that. So it's got a lot of that old charm to it.
Our old house, it was a brick house, but it had a walk-in attic. I mean, it was actually a door, and you walked up the stairs to get to the attic.
Oh yeah, yeah.
My sister lived up there.
Yeah.
My sister was Max. My sister was Max, by the way. You remember her?
Oh yeah, that was Max. Yeah, I remember
that was
her.
my sister, man.
Elaine. Elaine is her real name. Everybody called her Max back then.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I figured you'd know that.
Yeah,
I
didn't put that together.
She lived up in the attic at one point, but one time my cat went up there for like a week, man. I didn't even know he was up there. You know?
The cat
Cats
just
are like
disappears.
that.
That's true.
I opened the door. It's like, where the hell you been? Yeah, I thought he was outside.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I have a cat that will go, if you open up like a kitchen cabinet or something like that, he's so curious, he wants to go inside. You can shut the door. He doesn't say a word, you know. It's just like you can go back hours later and you open up, there he is. He's just sitting there. Oh, hello, you know. You'd think he'd meow or something. No, he just sits there.
Cats will do that.
That's
man.
funny.
But I get this Ohio channel, and you know, it's out of Columbus, and it's like they show all the State House news and everything. And I was watching this thing about redistricting, you know.
Yeah.
And the Republicans are running this place. I don't think I'm ever going to vote Republican again as long as I live, and I've always been kind of a right winger, but not anymore. But I mean, if they can't expand Medicaid and stuff like that. But anyhow, these people come on and testify, and you know, it's always a different thing. And they were testifying about the redistricting. This girl came on, and she says, "Yeah, I've moved 3 times, and I've moved a total of 4 miles between the 3 times I've moved in the past 5 years, and I was in 3 different districts." Did you understand what I just said?
Yeah, I kind of did. Yeah, it's.
No, but it's just so convoluted, man. I mean, it's like, I mean, the Democrats don't stand a chance to get anything passed because of the redistricting. I mean, I don't know.
Right. If the party in power, and in Ohio it's the Republicans, and in West Virginia it is too, they get to decide how things are redistricted. So the inequity I think that you're pointing out here, Tom, is that it should be voters choosing the politicians, or choosing the office holders, but it seems like it's the office holders who choose which voters they want to vote for them, and that's what they do to redistrict. Okay, well, we got to make sure we got more Republicans in this urban district, so we're going to, put this little balloon out, and if you look at the way things are mapped, it's like, what? Who would map things that way? That's crazy. But
on the federal side, though, like our district, like it's a 96 mile by like 4 miles or 6 miles by 96 miles all the way down along the river. That's Democratic.
Yeah.
But, and then the Republicans. I remember when Charlie Wilson was running, his kids ran around and got like 2,000 signatures in the wrong district.
Because they didn't, it's hard to keep up with it. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just. I give up, but I mean, seriously, it's hard to get anything passed by the Democrats in this state anymore because of the redistricting. That's the way I'm getting it. I don't know, man.
I think you're right, and I think that's a problem nationally too. That there just ought to be some way that we could do this in a nonpartisan way, just so that we've got fairly equal distribution of votes, and what happens.
How about just laying a grid on the map? Here you go. This is how it should
90 degrees, split down the middle in Columbus, going 90 degrees like a cross.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that would make sense. Although, that wouldn't account for population differences. So if you want to...
Well, yeah, I mean, some differentiation within that, but I mean, it's just stupid to have these little jaggedy lines all over. But this is Ohio is the second worst state in the country as far as, messed up redistricting.
Yeah.
Hey, have you ever listened to the Jayhawks at all?
The Jayhawks? No.
Yeah. Oh, no?
Yeah.
Well, they did it. The Jayhawks and Wilco and...
Okay, Wilco, I know.
And Soul Asylum all did a band called Golden Smog, and they did a couple albums. They made up fictitious names because of the record contract.
Okay.
But if you ever get a chance to listen to the Jayhawks, they're pretty cool.
I will. I'll check that out.
I've been into them lately and stuff. They've been around for a while, but Anyhow,
Jayhawks. Okay.
enough about that. Hey, thanks. I've been going through radio withdrawals, man.
Oh, yeah.
You ever listen to Chris Moore on KDKA?
Yeah. I like his stuff. Yeah.
He's really cool, man.
Yeah.
He was on Channel 13 for a while.
Oh, yeah.
They had like a show every week, and they interview people and stuff. But he was a Vietnam vet, man, and then I don't know, about 15 years ago, he took all his buddies back to Vietnam. Like about 6 or 7 of them went over there.
Wow.
And around Veterans Day, they show that every year, you know.
Yeah. That's remarkable. Yeah. I've heard his talk show on KD a few times. And,
yeah, well, he's my other option, man. It's just you and Chris Moore.
All right. Well, I like that. I'm in good company then. Thanks so much, Tom. I appreciate it. Hey,
right,
you call in every time, okay? Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Bye.
Sure. That's Tom calling in, and you're welcome. Your calls are always welcome too. So I'm eager to hear what you have to say. Another thing that's been on my mind, other than this house sale, that should probably be on everybody's mind a little bit is there's a new book out by Bob Woodward and Robert Costas called Peril, and it focuses on the final days of the Trump administration. Now, Bob Woodward, of course, you're going to know him from his days on the Watergate investigation. And he has, over the years, done profiles on a number of different presidents. He has, I think this is his 4th book on the Trump presidency. It's kind of amazing. And this one in particular has some really kind of shocking disclosures about how Trump wanted to thwart the Constitution. Yes, yeah. And really what we should take from this is we've got to do something, constitutionally or at least legally, to prevent this kind of stuff from happening again. But the fresh evidence that also shows what many people in Trump's inner circle knew in January. He made a case to stay in power, based on voter fraud that was totally meritless, and people around him knew it. But they also knew that he was kind of an unchained commander-in-chief who chose to listen to acolytes pushing wild conspiracies rather than, maybe getting a grip on the truth. And some of those people who knew the truth and that surrounded the president refused to speak up, even as American democracy came under attack. And here's what we learned this week. We learned that Trump had blueprints that Republicans tried to use to prevent Congress from certifying President Joe Biden's clear and genuine victory in the form of a memo that laid out a plan for then Vice President Mike Pence to thwart Biden's Electoral College triumph. The memo was recorded in the book, and they've actually published parts of it. Trump's own campaign staff also knew that the outrageous claims of fraud made by the president's lawyers were utterly false, but they did nothing to stop his dangerous allegations. These things came forward by the New York Times. Trump also sent a letter full of false information to Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, asking him to start the process of decertifying the 2020 election. And Peril, the book by Costas and Woodward, also contains a passage that shows Trump cared very little for the truth, what voters decided in November, or on bedrock constitutional values. But he agonized about his own reputation and mused that if he accepted the defeat, that would brand him as one of history's losers. Well, he's right. It did. He has been branded as a loser, And if I could tell him that, I certainly would. Let's go to the calls. We got another call on there?
Yeah, it's Mr. Wright.
Mr. Wright. Hey, Mr. Wright.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Well, you know what? I don't know. My blood boils sometimes listening to you and Howard, man.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not a huge Trump fan by any means, but our country was in way better shape than what it is now. And everybody keeps wanting to go back and rag on Donald Trump and blame him for everything. And it blows me away.
Yeah.
Biden's been in office for, 8 months now?
Mm-hmm.
What has he done good for us? Name one thing that he's done good for our country or Afghanistan at that point.
Well, I don't know. It depends on.
I don't know either.
It depends on what your definition of good is. I mean,
Well, let's see. Have you been to the grocery store lately?
Well, yeah, I know where you're going with this. You're talking about
gas.
inflation, right? Yeah.
We don't have our own oil anymore, so gas is higher than it's ever been in probably 3 years. I don't know the exact number there. I mean, there's shortages of everything, which we can't say there wouldn't have been shortages of anything, of everything under Trump too. There might have been, but it's just amazing. I mean,
I had
guy
trouble.
has done. Look at the border. What's going on at the border that nobody covers hardly at all.
Yeah, well, you got a good point there, and I do want to concede a couple of points that you make that are good, and that the border thing is a problem. Inflation, it could be a problem. Some of the prices have risen. So there's no doubt about that. Shortages.
Well,
I mean, I remember.
That I'm in, Butch. We sell to the federal government, and all of my vendors. I've got vendors that are backing out of contracts because the prices of stuff has went up so high that they're avoiding their contracts with us.
Yeah. Well,
they used to be like when I was in the produce business forever. There was always an act of God clause in contract in case weather came in and wiped out stuff.
Right.
Now, being sarcastic here, right now I think there's an act of Biden clause.
Okay.
I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, we sell cutlery kits to the prisons. $20 2 weeks ago. We sent in orders. They said we can't honor that price of $29 now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
That is crazy, and you're pointing out. I mean, I was aware that there was inflation. I've gone to the gas pumps and seen the differences there, so I get it, and I think you do make a couple of good points. The point that I would make, the shortages though, that's been going on. Remember not being able to get toilet paper? I think Donald Trump was in office then. I don't blame Trump for that either, and I don't think it's really right to blame Biden for all of that either.
He probably had the toilet paper manufacturers doing masks and stuff instead of toilet paper.
Well, he didn't really, but if he did, it would be forgivable. But
right.
I know what you're saying here.
You can still wipe with a mask, right?
Yeah, I guess you could. Yeah, but I don't know if you want to wear that mask after that. But yeah.
But I mean, and if this was going on under Trump, Howard would be nonstop bashing, and he hardly ever mentions anything.
Yeah. I guess that's why I'm sort of picking up the mantle, because I don't want to forget about what happened on January 6th. I mean, certainly you seem like a reasonable guy. Certainly you don't think that it was right that a bunch of hooligans went into the Capitol lawn.
No, that was completely wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And then I enjoy talking to you because we can disagree and still, be within the same universe of conversation, and that's
right. Now, if this would have been on the morning show, I probably would have got hung up on by now.
Really? No, I'm not going to do that. I want to talk. I don't want to talk to people who are just going to agree with me all the time. I'd rather. It makes for a much more interesting conversation if we don't totally see eye to eye. It's cool, and it's how we can learn to understand one another a little bit better too.
Yep. I mean, I don't know when things are going to level out. I mean, like another thing, everyone blamed Trump about COVID. It's worse now than it was.
It is.
I don't know that that's Biden's fault, but it's, why aren't they blaming him now?
Yeah. Well, well, one thing is the messaging has been a little bit different. When you agree that Donald Trump was basically saying it'll go away magically, I'm pretty sure that was what he said. It's just going to go away. I think it was wishful thinking. It didn't just go away. And Joe Biden came in saying, we're going to vaccinate people. And, the vaccines, in all fairness, Biden didn't have anything to do with that. That came with the scientists during the Trump administration.
Right. Biden got his shot when Trump was president.
Yeah, and Trump got his
he
shot, too.
He doesn't remember that.
and Trump got his shot, too, while he was president, too. And Trump had COVID, too. So much for this being a myth and stuff like that. It's amazing the hypocrisy that we can when we're being tribal about saying my tribe's better than your tribe, then it really sets us up for hypocrisy, and we really need to be able to concede that once in a while the other guy might have a good point. I think.
Yep, I mean, 100% agree with you. I mean, this world is so divisive at this point. I don't even know if I want to say the world, but at least the United States.
Yes.
it's unbelievable what's going on in this country that I sometimes want to get up in the morning and say, hey, let's move to Australia. I mean, I don't know what's going on down there, but it's got to be better than this.
You'd think, yeah. I'm totally with you, and I'm as far as not liking the divisiveness, and I'd really like to find ways of bringing us together. And maybe I'm not doing a good enough job of that because I bring up controversial things. But I like to deal with controversy at least in a way that that's civilized and where we respect each other's opinions.
You know, and everybody seems to make everything about race today. I mean, I heard something the other day on the news that somebody on CNN, it was an African American lady that said, "Hey, if this was about this Petrino girl that they just found her body.
Yeah.
If this was a black girl, it wouldn't even be in the news." I mean, are you kidding me?
I can't imagine. I mean, I understand. I guess I understand the point she's making, but I don't agree with that. I don't think that's really quite true. But you know, I'm trying to listen. You know, try to listen to other people's perspective, and yeah, maybe there is something about this poor white girl. You know, I don't know that plays on mass media sympathy, but I would hope that that's not true. You know. I'm not sure. You know, it's really hard to say, though, you know, well, this is absolutely true or this is absolutely not true. You know, we're talking about a hypothetical here, so I don't really know. But we certainly heard a lot about the black girl who got shot by the police, you know, mistakenly. Yep. So, you know, yeah, we did hear about that. So I don't know. I don't think we should make everything all about race. There are some things, though, that are
you know, with
the
Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben stuff. I mean, really, let's take them off the grocery store where they were actually, you know, faces that you could see every day, and now they're not there. So,
yeah.
I mean, how does that? I don't know. I just didn't get it at all.
Well, that I think I get it in the sense that if they're offensive, if they're seen as racial stereotypes, we ought to, as a society, be moving past that. But frankly, I didn't find them offensive. But I'm a white guy, you know, so maybe maybe I'm not qualified to make an opinion.
Well, Mr. Clean offends me.
Because you're a bald white guy?
No, I'm not bald, but it offends me. Why doesn't he have hair?
Good point. Hey,
Yeah.
thanks so much for calling in. I really appreciate your input. Please call back again sometime, and we'll do a little bit more friendly arguing.
I like it.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Yep,
All
bye.
right. We are, you're listening to Butch Maxwell's Complete Waste of Airtime right here on the Watchdog Network. We're going to take a little break, and we'll be back with the second half of this nonsense. We'll see you in a moment.
Neil Brown says he likes what he sees, and he will continue to play two quarterbacks. Hi, everybody. I'm Tony Caridi. That story coming up on today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics.
At Kroger, fresh groceries are our thing, so we do freshness checks on the items in your delivery order at every step of their journey from our farms to our stores. And pick and pack every blue, raz, and strawberry in your free pickup order with the utmost care. Because we believe in treating your food the same way we'd want ours to be treated. It's the golden rule, only for like fresh fruit and stuff. Order now using the mobile app.